Brewing all week in Florida after laws were broken and election tampering was alleged in Broward and Palm Beach counties. Election officials have been under fire from Republicans after failing to meet state standards for counting votes. Talking Points analyst Michael Furnari is here with the details. Michael, it's been almost a week of uncertainty and chaos. Can you break it all down for us?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a mess ever since election night in Florida. There really has been since kind of the early evening on Tuesday, Rick Scott and Ron DeSantis running for governor and or senator and governor respectively had very slim leads, either less than about 1.5 points. Rick Scott closer to about 0.8 of a point. And the big thing that was happening on election night was that people didn't know what the results were in Broward County and Palm Beach in particular. And the votes that were left to count at the end of the night were from those counties. And so the question on election night was, we'll see what happens, but it looks like the two will be able to win. The numbers just didn't seem to add up. And then what happened was, you wait a day, you wait a second day, and the votes had not been tallied in Broward. And not only were the results not given, but Broward County and Palm Beach County weren't even willing to say how many votes were left to be counted. And so the problem with that is that in Florida law, you can only wait a certain amount of hours after the polls close before you have to disclose how many ballots are left. And so in that sense, they were in violation of the law. And then what happened in kind of the day or two that follow, you saw this from Marco Rubio, you've seen it from Rick Scott, is that Republicans really kind of poured into Florida to try to see exactly what was going on, because the problem is that when you don't know how many ballots are even left, it's almost an impossible process to kind of quantify. So the thing that we saw is, Rick Scott issued a lawsuit about a day after the election, and it's been really a tooth and nail fight ever since.
So how does Brenda Snipes fit into this? She's been taking flack from everyone. Who is she? Why is she important to this story?
Brenda Snipes. She is the Broward County Supervisor of Elections. She's held that post since 2003. And Brenda Snipes has really had kind of a checkered past. I mean, out of all the counties in America, you could argue she's probably been the most embattled and had the toughest time. So Brenda Snipes has been caught destroying ballots. She's been caught keeping ballots that weren't submitted on time and counting them in the vote. She's been caught letting felons, before the law passed, letting them vote in Florida. She's been caught having felons and illegal immigrants vote in her elections. So she's really kind of been a scrutinized figure in the past, but she's under fire a lot because people were suspecting that there was some kind of foul play going on because she was refusing to specify how many ballots were left, and also she was refusing to allow any kind of third-party observers into the elections office to oversee what was going on. And it looks like she's not going to make it out of this year. The talk has been that she's either going to resign once this whole fiasco is over, or Governor Ron DeSantis will suspend her, which she does have the power to do.
And once these things came to light, how have people been reacting, whether it's the media, Republicans, Democrats, politicians?
Yeah, so this is kind of, I guess, old news for Florida. We remember the 2000 recount. And so I think it's kind of been deja vu in that sense, where as soon as this happened, all the Republicans you can imagine, the lawyers descended on Florida. It dominated kind of conservative media for a few days. Rubio, Rick Scott, everybody was talking about this one. And it's really been kind of just, your average tooth and nail partisan fight, in the sense that, everybody's just kind of fighting for their side. Principles are kind of all moot, kind of in this strange little realm during this election. So people are just kind of fighting tooth and nail. And a lot of people are calling from Brenda Snipes' head. I guess that's the reaction.
So moving forward, it's been a minute already. We still don't know who's won. What are we going to see moving forward? Well,
if you look at the numbers of what's going on in these two counties with how many votes they have left to count, it doesn't seem like, no matter what result there is from these recounts, because there is going to be an automatic recount because of how close the voting was, and then however many votes are left to be counted, it doesn't seem plausible that the race could change. So it looks like DeSantis is safe. It looks like Rick Scott is safe. But that isn't a guarantee. Again, Rick Scott is ahead about 13,000 votes, and DeSantis is up about 40,000. So very thin margins, but it looks like those two will win, as they were expected to do going into the rest of the week. It looks like Brenda Snipes is not going to be in her position much longer. And so the thing that's closest in the near future is that on Wednesday, so there's going to be a judge will decide some of the adjudication with regards to how these ballots are going to be counted. And the most recent news on the lawsuit front is that today, Rick Scott filed to have an injunction where there could be people inspecting and protecting all the voting machines, and that got struck down this morning.
All right, Michael, thank you so much. We know you'll be following the